All right. Well, I'd like to introduce everyone to our seventh interview. This one is with Peter Revel Walsh, the brother to Kate Walsh. She's done many of our books. He just did one recently called The Black Star. How's
Yes.
it going over there?
Pardon?
How's it going over there?
Oh, it's very good. Yes, very good. Here over here in London. Yes, very good. Just turned 8 o'clock, so I'm very happy to be here. And yeah, thank you for inviting me, Michael.
Of course. Where are you from? Like, England, stuff like that. Where were you born?
Oh well, so I'm from a small town in the northwest of the UK. It's a place called Darwin, which is in Lancashire, and it's in between the towns of Bolton and Blackburn. Born on the A666. Interesting fact.
Yes. When did you get into voiceover?
Well, I've been an actor for quite a long time, and I found out that I was going to get made redundant in 2014. I used to work for the financial regulator here in the UK in London, and I wanted to try and expand my creative outlet. So I really started putting myself forward for voice work in 2014. So I did a couple of adverts. I think I did a radio advert, and then started getting into audiobooks. So it was 2014 when I actually started applying for more vocal jobs, because I was primarily an actor.
Have you ever published any of your own work?
Well, this is, you see, like, I have written stuff myself because I'm not really a writer. I'm currently in a writer's circle. So I've been in a writer's circle for about a year now. But none of that has been published. I've published or produced like sort of short scenes that I've written, but not in book form. So I've created a web series called Down the Alley with a friend of mine, which we wrote or we improvised the scenes. So that's up on YouTube. So those are scenes which are effectively published, but not, I've never had any words of mine that are published written down. But I'm not going to say that that's not going to ever happen in the future. Maybe it will, but as I say, I like to challenge myself in a creative way. So writing is not out of the question.
If anybody wanted to find those stories, would they just search a name and then go to YouTube, or?
Well, right. So Down the Alley, which is a web series, or the stories that I've written, they're not published. Yes. They're not out. Okay. They're not in the general in general public.
I was talking about the YouTube.
Oh, the web series. Yeah. If you search for my name, Peter Revel Walsh, and so I do have a YouTube channel, and like sort of, I think there are links to Down the Alley. There's also a surrealist type thing called The Ring's the Thing, which I did 5 episodes in a week, which is very, very random. And I just made them up on the spot with 2 other people. And using the situations, the environments that we were in, we just improvised scenes, which is quite strange and very silly.
When you do your acting, do you draw from experience or do you go off of like raw emotion?
Well, I tend to I tend to get emotions through a physiological method rather than using emotional memory. So what I do is I get the energy, I place energy in different areas around my body, which then what's it say? What is it? They can then manifest themselves as true emotion for effective look. So I work with medical doctors who are training as medical doctors, and as part of their training, they have medical role plays, and as one of those, I have different scenarios, and I can get emotional and upset and like sort of angry, and what I do is I use energy and how that the student is reacting to me to get that it's a real emotion. Because I find that sometimes if you use a memory of an emotion, that emotion recedes over time and it doesn't become as effective. So I feel the emotion at the time, in the moment, whether it's on screen or on stage or whatever. So yeah, it's how I'm actually feeling it.
I've never heard of that before. That's
Have you not?
amazing.
Yeah, I studied with a chap called Stefan Perdekamp, and it's a thing called the PEM method, the Perdekamp emotional method. It originated in Germany probably about 25 years ago, and they were in the UK for probably 4 years, and I trained with them on a regular basis. They no longer train. They no longer train in the UK, but they do have some teachers who teach in a couple of the UK drama schools. But they teach all over. I think they're based now in Australia as well. They have a centre in Melbourne. So the PEM method.
Mm. You have a wonderful vocal range. Were you trained to do so?
Thank you very much. I will take that as a compliment, Michael. Thank you. I wasn't, in short. No, I wasn't. I think it's just something that comes because, like, as a kid, like sort of. Well, you've spoken to my sister Kate, and we're very close. We as kids we played around, and there was never it wasn't a silly voice or an accent was never far away in our household or when we were growing up. So I don't know. I as a kid I sang. So I used to be in theatre at school dramas, and I sang with a number of choirs, and then got into acting, and I tend not to use my own accent when I'm acting. I always find a character either from the feet up or the head down, and I don't know what it is. Where if I read something, a character will come and a voice will just jump out at me normally, and yeah, it's strange. I don't know. It's not something that I have been trained. I've never been to drama school or anything like that. I've never been trained to do that. It's just something that has developed over time, I think.
Have you worked with anyone we may know or you would like to mention?
Oh well. So have I worked with anybody you may know? I have done well. Not. Well, I've worked with Kate, but I've done some extra work. So I did some extra. Work. I was in the what's it called? The Fantastic Beasts film. The second, I think it was the second one. I was in that. So I was in the scene with Johnny Depp. But I work with a photographer called Rory Lewis quite a lot, and he does lots of actors' headshots, and he does royalty, and he takes he comes over to New York, and he takes portraits of actors in America as well. So I work with him on a regular basis as a photographic model. As you can see, I have quite a distinctive look. Beard and my hair and so well, you can't see my hair maybe, but it's about 31 inches long, and my beard's getting there as well. Actually, it's getting quite long. But so I work with him, who's a very good portraiture photographer.
When Kate first introduced me, she called you Wizard Jesus. So
she did, yeah. Oh yeah, my brother's like a wizard. I'm going to mention, because I do. I have played quite a few wizards, religious characters, and such like. Thanks, Kate.
Are you into any art styles like comics, classical, anime, stuff like that?
Well, because I was having to think of this, like sort of, because I'm not. I know it sounds strange, but I'm not really a reader. I am more visual. So I didn't, and because I actually didn't read until I was 9 years old as a kid, so I was very visual. I'm more of a mathematician, so I used to do maths problems for fun, which is quite strange. But if you think about I was just looking around the walls in our house. And so there's a lot of things that I'm into, like on our walls, as I say, in our home, we've got pencil drawings from comics, so original drawings from original comics. That and we've also got art from books. We've got pictures like of like sort of massive big pictures of photographs that people have taken, both in black and white and in color. And there's pictures of me when I was modeling, like sort of fantasy images of me with horns, and like if it's weird. It's if I like it, I like it, and I can't really describe it. It's I like a lot of different genres, and I can appreciate a job well done. And even my husband thinks it's really weird that I've got pictures of me up on the wall, but I think they're aesthetically pleasing, which also sounds a bit weird if you're looking at me, but it's not. I don't see me, which sounds really strange. I see
like the character.
Yeah, I see a character. So like somebody who's got horns and like sort of big fur and like sort of gold and like sort of moody. That yeah, it's so I can't really say I've got a specific thing. It's just I like what I like. That's going to be an answer I give quite a lot, but yeah, yeah. It's as I say, I haven't got a specific thing that I always go to. If I like it and I appreciate it, then that's it. As I say, I appreciate good work.
On the modeling thing though, I was looking at your Instagram.
All right.
And I saw was it you were like, I think it was like you were all like dusty, ashy, and you're looking into the camera all calm, and then you just like jump at the camera. That scared the crap out of me.
All right, no, because also what I keep that's that because I used to work in a nightclub. Like before COVID hit, I worked in a nightclub as an interactive performer. So I would go to a nightclub in what was it in Park Lane, which was a very exclusive nightclub. People would pay like sort of £2,000 to go in and whatever, and I would basically be like I think that was a Halloween one where I had my teeth done, and basically I was a horror monster. But I've been in there as a granddad with a walking stick and a tracksuit twerking. So it's very random, and it's just the sort of stuff that I love doing. I never knew what I was going to be doing from 1 week to the next, and it's like with all the creative stuff, you never know what your next project's going to be. So, but yeah, I love that sort of stuff because because you can play, and as an actor, as a voice, like sort of to get a reaction like that off somebody when they just see something, that's ultimately what you want. You want to instill an emotion, with be it fear, excitement, horror, sadness, whatever. If you can get a reaction by something you've done or something you said, then that's our job done.
Is there a genre of storytelling you are more into than like another, like horror, adventure, fantasy, like that?
Well, I was having to think about this one as well. It's not as a narrator. I've tried a few but as a reader, I said I'm not a good reader, and I do actually. I like fantasy, and I like when I was reading books a lot. I was reading a lot of I read a lot of horror, so I like fantasy primarily, but also I like a thriller and a suspense where you don't know what's the thing that's gonna come around the corner, and you've always got to work out what the next step is, what's coming next, and who done it. I like who done it's. I do like a good murder mystery and things like that. So there's a lot of things, and I like humor. I do like humor as well. Like it's the thing. If I'm currently working on an audio drama called The Brain Worm, where I play a character called the narrator, who then actually gets a name. But I like comedy and I play it dry. I play it straight. And people have said to me when I've been reading scripts or whatever, they say I'm very good at comedy, which I love. If you can get like from the previous question, like if you can get an emotion, like if somebody has a laugh or a giggle about how you've delivered a line or how you've performed something, then that to me that's the ultimate thing. You've got a big tick for that. So I like humor. So there's all sorts of things that I enjoy. Yeah, I know. I did tell you I've no specific. It's because I because my brain jumps all over everywhere, as you can probably tell with the answers to these questions. That
They're good. I mean, they're good so far. I'll tell you that.
I'm going all over everywhere, but that's how my brain works. I'll go off on a tangent, and suddenly I'll think of another thing, and that leads me onto something else. And so that's what it's like in my reading or my visual or my auditory stimulus. I'm always looking for, well, not for a new thing, but if something excites me, it's like a little glowy star over here that I will go through, but then something else will come and it'll bring me back. So yeah, sorry, very random answer to question once again.
Would you someday like to, work for a major IP, or are you happy where you are?
Well, I'm going to say, of course, I would love to work some major IP, because, well, who wouldn't? Because I'm a creative, and it's taken me so many. I'm in such a lucky position that I am. I'm currently I'm 55 at the moment, and I worked the 9 to 5 until I was nearly 50. So I went into work and I was suited and booted. I had short hair and until I thought, sod it, I'm going to be myself, and turned into myself. And then started doing all my creative things. And so I've worked on all these things for so many years. I've forgotten what I was saying. Yes, right. But I do it because I love it. And there's not many people that can say the job that they do is something that they love. There are people who go into the office every day and they go, oh my God, I'm just doing this because it pays my mortgage, it pays my rent, and it pays for my food. But I wish I was doing something else. All the time I was working 9 to 5, I was also doing the creative stuff outside. So like at weekends, I'd be going away and learning how to sword fight or ride a horse. Because it was a means to be creative and get to where I want to be a creative, full-time creative, which is what I am now. But I think, so I'm still in training. So I'm on the lower rungs of a lot of these ladders, but I'm climbing up them. Like sort of as I say, I've mentioned before that I'm an actor, and I've been in films. I've had lead roles in films. I'm now doing more audio drama. I'm doing more audio books as a narrator. I'm doing modeling as a model. And people, in fact, just a couple of weeks ago, a photographer, I was going for a job, and the job was cancelled short notice. So I was on the phone. And when I came off the phone, he said, well, are you working here? And I said, well, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing a photo shoot. And he said, are you a photographer or a model? And I said, model. And he said, I would love to photograph you. And then last Friday, I went in for a test shoot as a model for him. And they were saying some good things. So you never know. You never know what happens to anybody. But ultimately, what I ultimately want, I want to do the best job I possibly can. I want to learn as I'm doing those jobs, and I want people to want to work with me and also say, yeah, Peter did a great job, and I would highly recommend him to anybody, and I want to work with him again. That's my where I want to get to. And if that means that if things fall into place at the right time, at the right place, or I'm introduced to somebody, or in fact, I just meet somebody that thinks, all right, well, I think you're actually very good, or you've got potential. And then if that means that I'm going to end up working for some major company or IP, then so be it. That's fantastic. But if it just means that I'm if I'm working with people who I like and who like me, then yeah, I'm happy with that as well.
Oh yeah.
But ultimately, yeah, I like to earn some money, and do challenging and enjoyable roles and work like sort of yeah. When I first got your book, Michael, I like sort of it was a challenge, and I embraced that challenge. And what I like it's sometimes I don't know. It's here I'm going off on one of those tangents again, but like sort of as a creative, there's a lot of people who think, oh well, yeah, they sometimes you might sound very confident or you might look very confident, but sometimes you do need somebody to say, oh well, actually, do you know that was good? Because sometimes people, if you don't hear any feedback back, you're thinking, oh my god, it was terrible, and they just don't want to tell me it was terrible. But sometimes you've got to accept the fact. See, as I said, I'm going on a tangent again. But see, sometimes you've got to accept that, like, sort of no criticism is not bad. It's good because they don't have anything to say. But yeah, that was a bit weird, wasn't it? I went off on one, but no. So yes. So in a long answer, yes, I would love to work with a company with a major IP.
Do you have a routine for like getting your voice ready? Kate told me that apple juice really works well.
Well, I don't drink apple juice, like sort of, but what I do is I tend to, if I know I'm going to do a long session, and if it's something that I've done before, and I want to keep consistency, what I'll do is I'll steam my voice, well, steam my face, in fact, for 5 to 10 minutes, so that my vocal folds are all relaxed and moist and whatever. And what I tend to do is I'll eat a green apple. So yeah, so I'll have a green apple. I'll have some water in the booth as well, so that maintains I'm hydrated. In fact, what I'll do is this is Ribena, not red wine. But yeah, so you make sure you drink a lot. But yeah, a green apple, and sometimes because what that does, that it gets rid of some of the mouth clicks as well. But yeah, so I don't gargle or do like sort of singing scales or anything like that. I might do some tongue twisters if I feel like to. Tongue twisters if I'm feeling in the mood, or do some alliteration exercises. But that's about it.
What's your favorite role that you've played?
Right, my favorite role. I did a film called The Drift. It was filmed in 2012 and it was released in 2014. And that is up on YouTube, and it's called The Drift by Backyard Productions. And I played a character called Travis Flowers. And basically, I'd worked with Backyard Productions before in a thing called Cinders the Musical, where I know I do some random things. So basically, it was a filmed version, effectively, of Cinderella, and I played one of the ugly sisters. So, and that's on YouTube as well. It's called Cinders the Movie Trailer, where I play one of the ugly sisters in drag. I didn't have a beard at that point, but so that's up there. But yeah, so while we were doing Cinders the Movie, the writer of The Drift, they got to know me, and basically they wrote this character, Travis Flowers, based on me. So it's my personality, it's me, it's how I would it was me in space, in a scavenger ship in space, being me, but they wrote it with me in mind. So that was fantastic, and I loved it. And it was lots of green screen. It's like sort of running around a spaceship which was made out of cardboard tubes, and that role was great because we built the set together. The company built the set and the whole thing was made for £5,000. And it's like got lots of effects, and yeah, take a look at it. It's a science, as I say, it's a science fiction film. I won't tell you the end, but no, I won't tell you the end. But I'm one of the main characters in it, so I'm one of the principal cast. So that is my favourite role. But mind you, that there are other roles that I really enjoy as well. Like I played Captain Hook in Peter Pan in a pantomime, and I loved that character. I love that character, playing that character, because there's so many dimensions to it that you can bring.
Times have changed in the acting world. Has that affected you in any way, or?
Well, yes, it has really, because over the last 2 years, as you know, like there weren't in person auditions, or a lot of things got stopped because you just couldn't do it because of the COVID. And when, just as COVID was hitting, I was just about to step up in so many different realms. I just had an audition for The Northman, which has just come out. You know the Northman film?
Yeah.
So I just had a live audition with Robert Eggers, and I'd got a recall for a character. I didn't get it in the end. But then COVID hit. I was also just about to go to the photography show in Birmingham, which I was going to be working on the main stage, in the main stage with 3 different photographers. So I'd be assisting them as their model, in the place. So I'd have been there for 4 days and had access to maybe 20,000 photographers. So that was, and my look would not been like any other of the models that would be there. So that was something. What else was going on? There was another thing that was happening as well at the same time. There were all these things that were just stepping up. Right, this is the one. So that affected me quite a lot. And the fact that it's like staying in, and you're not seeing people, and as a creative, you thrive off working with other people. If it's on stage or on film, you bounce off people. But that's it. It's I think it's how the voice acting world or the acting world has affected me. That's how it affected me in that way. But I think the fact that there wasn't a lot of in-person auditions or whatever, a lot of actors, they jumped on the voiceover bandwagon, and they decided, all right, okay, I'm an actor. What I'll do is I'll do some home recording. And what that has done, a lot of them just thought it was easy. It's easy to like sort of just jump into an audiobook, which effectively it could be 6 or 7 hours worth of finished audio, and it's not a sprint, it's a marathon to do an audiobook. And it takes stamina. There are, so, like, I work in my home booth, but there are people who go into a studio and they might be narrating an audiobook for 8 hours a day for 2-3 weeks or a week or so, and it's hard going on your voice and also stamina. You've got to maintain the characters and everything like that, so it's hard work. And I think a lot of it, there was a glut in the market and a lot of people coming in thinking, oh, I can do that. So there was a lot more competition for voice work. And I know I've got as Kate has, she's got a specific, she's got a distinctive voice, as have I. Hers is more marketable, but she's been doing it a lot longer. She's been doing it for nearly 30 years. So I'm, in comparison to Kate, I'm a mere child, even though I'm older. But but in the vocal, in the voice world, I think it's yeah, so it's affected me in that way. But I've also realised that a lot of creators have to realise is a lot of the times I'm not in competition with anybody else because nobody has a voice like me.